What's going on, everyone? Jason here, and today I'm doing a tour of my Cathedral of the Fallen. Now, this is after my Preacher series, and as such, further renovations inside the cathedral has occurred. More specifically, it's become a little bit more of a tribute build to Tony Schnurr, aka Thick 44. If you see anything that I have done and you want to know more about it, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to discuss that in further detail there. As far as the video itself, I'm trying to make it a lot shorter and precise, because I do have a tendency to be long-winded if we get on the topic of discussing certain things. Now, coming from Legacy, I played with RP mentality to some degree, so I created my own organization. I call it Zari. That's what you can see over there. That's Zombie Advanced Research Institute. And as a builder, or in this case, renovator, visual aesthetics and functionality matter to me in my builds. So you're going to see a lot of that here as well. And of course, I'm doing it at night because I want, obviously, the visuals to pop. Now, do note I am on console, so with all the electricity and lights, there's not the smoothest FPS around here, but it is what it is. But I will go ahead and point out a few things along the way, like the steel garage doors here, which I thought the concept was cool. You know, at night, you go into lockdown mode, or for defensive reasons, you know, shuts and protects your doors. Come over here, and we do have a playground for the kids. As a Gen X kid, you know, had to complete the trifecta, so you had the swings, the merry-go-round of death. If you don't know about this contraption, you got your friends, you got a couple kids at the park, you guys swung this around until it hit Mach 3, you hung on for dear life, and if you didn't, well, there's a reason why our parents had multiple kids. And to complete that trifecta is the infamous slides, complete with rust and patina, and usually at the toasty temperature of molten lava. That way, when you came up and you slid down, you burnt off all your skin, you got that rust rubbed deeply into your wounds, you got yourself a tetanus shot, and you hope to God you didn't get lockjaw. Yeah, fun times. But we'll come over here to my garage, / farm, do collectors. The garage was actually an afterthought, so there's not a whole lot done inside it. But during one of my Horde nights, the Zeds decided to target my 4x4, and yeah, they blew it up, so I decided I better do something about that. But again, nothing too extreme. It's functional. Then, of course, I do have a garage for my motorcycle. Place to grow our mushrooms. Come up here, you just got nice little seating area. You know, in between your hard work of doing the farm. And, of course, I grew nothing but super corn right here at the end just because of that visual pop of it glowing, which I absolutely love. Then, of course, if we come upstairs, rooftop has our dew collectors. I was kind of hoping the night would have been really clear, but I actually like that it's snowing. We are in the snow biome after all. As far as power goes, there is 2 solar banks over here and 1 at my Horde base. That powers everything. Let's go ahead and head inside to my residence. Now, I might have been a preacher, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't live in a little bit of comfort. So, of course, we got our kitchen, fully functional. It's a bit small, but it does its job. Coming to the front room. You know, it's modest for what it is. A little bit stylish, but I think it's humble enough. You know, it's nothing too extreme. You know, after a hard day in the apocalypse, you deserve to come home, kick back, look at a big screen TV, whether you're playing a game, watching movies, videos, complete with surround sound, and, of course, a little mini fridge for your beer. Come upstairs, and we have our bathroom, which is, well, it's a bathroom, so not much can be said about that. And then the bedroom, by default, it's actually 2 rooms turned, with bedrooms. Obviously, I converted it into a master bedroom for myself. Yeah, got myself a little wardrobe over here. If I would have did all the outfits, obviously I would have put them there. But for what it is, I think it's cozy, it's comfy. If I lived here in real life, I'd be pretty content. And of course, I do have a workbench. That way I can turn corn into cornmeal. Now the cathedral itself. Well, now I was going for a hybrid build. I wanted that classic rustic feel of church, and it is a Catholic church, so it should have that warm glow mixed with a little bit more of a modernization to it, and I do believe I accomplished that. So we'll see that here in a second. But of course, you first enter, and of course, we have a wardrobe. Change your attire. SMG controls. When the church is active, it opens all the garage doors. And then when service is in play, we'll turn that on here in a second. But if we come over on this side, a little reading area, study area. Do some research, work on the next mass. And I do like to build pretty symmetrical, so both sides are identical. So when you first come into the church, you got brochures and reading materials. Pamphlets of the program of today's service. Current events. Come on this side and your remembrance tables. That way you can light a candle, say a prayer, remember those that you've lost. Being for Thick 44, obviously, we had to go with the purple carpeting. And, of course, our saints are warriors, so had to be the commando mannequins. But I do believe by using the torches, you get that warm glow feel to it. And, I absolutely love it. Of course, being a Catholic church, we have confession booths. Which, let's see if I can remember this. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 36 years since my last confession. I'm pretty sure there's more than that, but I don't remember anymore. So, I'm probably going to hell. But before that happens, let's go ahead and keep on going. So we come down to the bathroom, and if you don't know this POI/remnant, this is always flooded in water. So it took a lot of work to remove it all. I had to rebuild all the stalls and everything. Women's bathroom, nice and complete. The only thing I regret was I never did figure out what I could have put there to flush it out a little bit more. Water fountains, men's bathroom, also restored and renovated a little bit more. By default it has 3 bathroom stalls, 2 urinals sitting right here, but I wanted a little bit more realism. So of course we got our dividers, made it 3 urinals. Still got 2 toilets, so if you gotta poop, you can poop. Little janitor's room, which I actually like. Knocked back the wall a little bit, added a cart, shelving. Kept the utility sink, some drainage. And again, visual aesthetics, and I absolutely love these shelves because of that, the way it has that 3D effect to it. I love it. And then after I got done with it, I started laughing because it's like, well, how's the janitor supposed to get that cart upstairs? And I came to the conclusion, that's his problem. Now, realistically, that would just, clean the bathrooms, maintain hygienics. Since I have my own organization, we bring somebody in like once a week or whatever to polish the floors. Upstairs is the VIP ring. But, typical entrance. Nothing too fancy. Some bulletin boards. But then the meat and potatoes is the altar. So obviously I do have torches going, at least when we're not in service. That way you have some ambient light. I absolutely love it. Of course, we got the 44 over here. And I actually do like this because it does give you a little bit of a 3D holographic feel every now and then. The only thing I wish that I could have had was the numbers being a little bit thicker. Pun intended on that, but for what it is, it still works. And of course, Tony Schur, aka Thick 44, being the human man warrior / Rivalry King. It was only right that he had a proper glass encased entombment. Now, I will point out that when Tony passed 2 years ago, I did build a memorial for him back on Legacy. And then this year, I did go back to that memorial and revisited it. If you wish to see that video, it is in my playlist under Base Tours. I'm pretty proud of that build, especially on Legacy with its limitations. So if you're curious about that, feel free to check that out. But, legends never die. You know, my way of paying respect, paying homage, tribute. I never got to meet Tony, but him and the rest of Neebs Gaming have been a big part of my life, especially in the last few years. So, yeah. And I mean, let's face it, Tony passed on February 13th, which is the 44th day of the Julian calendar year. I mean, that's pretty legendary. Gotta admit. But say service is in session. We kick on the lights. And as I said, I want that hybrid feeling. So again, we have that warm glow sitting over here. But then, look at that. You get that modern light. You get that highlighted area. It pops, the visual, the colors. For me, I absolutely love this. I think it looks amazing. Again, I might be biased, but I'm extremely happy with that. And because of this build, I've come to really love that black granite paint. Then, of course, you got that crisp white mixed with the regal of purple. So, yeah, I think it works really well. And, I mean, I could have had spotlights over on this side and lit it up. But, again, you go to a church, especially me, Catholic church, because I did grow up as a Catholic. I went to Catholic school, Catholic church. I was even an altar boy. So, my memories as a kid, the church had that warm glow feel to it. It was never super bright, but it makes sense that it should be bright over, and it was. It was brighter over the Father doing mass. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Then let's go ahead and check out the VIP section really quick. And I consider it the VIP section because if you notice the pews, I had to rebuild them all, which took a lot of nails, but of course they're white with obviously the purple carpeting and all that. And then the VIP section obviously has purple seating instead. And it's limited seating. I'm glad we have all these new different blocks. As a console player anyway, it's new for me. So I'm kind of happy I was able to get this to be a little bit elevated up here. A little bit more fancy, if you will. But I think it looks pretty sharp. And then, of course, as you can see, the ceiling is obviously white with black arches. So you get that modern, but you still get a little bit of that rustic feel. As far as over here, obviously, that's just the bell tower. I didn't do anything but restored the walls, repainted it, fixed the windows, yada, yada, yada. The stairs have been replaced. They are concrete, but, got that all fixed. Oh, and I guess if you want to look at that little walkway across. Yeah. So if you want to see it from this perspective real quick. Of course, I love those chandeliers. Again, I love visual aesthetics, so it's a shame on console I do not have access to that prefab editor. So while I do have my own method, I'm not going to get into it as far as, but I call it mimic crafting. This enables me to play on creative and get the items that I can't normally craft or buy at a trader. So while I could mimic craft and get a chandelier, I do not have the ability to toggle it on and off. If I was on PC, I'm guaranteed there's mods and everything that would allow me to craft those quote-unquote legitly. But it's basically the same thing what I do with creative. It's just, since I don't have mods, I had to make my own system. But it works. I play legit. I do all my grinding, all my crafting. I love it. Again, if you want to know anything about what I do and things of that nature, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section below. I go into further detail about that. But with daybreak coming, let's head on outside. Now, a lot of work went into this, but I'm pretty happy. But the hedgerolls, um, yeah, don't ever put them by windows. Now, I had, oh, crap. Hang on. Yeah, when service is over, obviously, light goes off, you kick everyone out, then they put everything in lockdown. Hey, we'll just jump over. Yeah, I love that concept of the doors closing. But as I was saying, the hedgerolls, yeah, don't put it underneath the window. I didn't expect had ones that actually jump up on the hedgerolls just to bust through the window on me. But we come over here, and this is my horde base where I basically lived the entire series. Yeah, I got my residence over there, but I never actually got to live in there. Yeah, this was my crafting base slash horde base. So if you just want to see this right here, I'll tack that at the end. I will say, at least for me, this design right here is extremely overpowered. And I will say with 100% confidence, I could never lose in any Blood Moon unless I wanted to lose with this setup. Of course, I actually had to replace that a little bit, so I did paint that a little bit, freshen it up. But we come up here, and again, it was my crafting base, so it's nothing special. But I do have, a workshop. My armory. Again, nothing, it's nothing extreme. It's nothing over impressive, I guess. It's just is what it is. Like I said, I lived here the entire series. Even had my perishables and everything cooking right there. Again, everything is run on solar. And yeah, pretty effective. Pretty effective. Now, if you're curious, I have electric fences, so I can repair them from here or from there. And with the way this base turned out and set up, yeah, you have a risk of falling, but it's really not that hard to avoid that. But it was right over the only staircase for them to follow, so easy to drop all throwables down there on them. And just a side observation, which I don't claim anything original, because I'm sure somebody else has thought of it, and this ain't original, but if you're like me, there have been times I have left my base, come back to find the block has been busted, because apparently either Screamers, aka Samara, or just random Zeds decided to come over here when I was leaving. I didn't know. So I would highly recommend at least one electric fence and one SMG turn. Perfect perfect combo. Yeah. Nothing has ever busted through. So works really, really well. I love the snow biome. But I love that church. Like I said, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of time, a lot of resource grinding. But I'm happy I did it. Obviously, if you stuck to the end, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the build. If you want to see more, obviously, if you're not subscribed, maybe think about doing that. I will say, I plan on doing more tours of my bases after they're completed. But do note that when I build, I play on legit games, so it takes a lot of time. So don't expect me to have a new video or a base, like once a week or anything, because that's just not going to happen in the realm of possibilities. But I will say at this exact moment in time, I do have two other games going with two other builds, and I'm close to being done with those, and those will be on the way at some point in the near future as well, especially before we get the update for Storms Brewing, which is still weeks away at this point in time, but just so you know. So with that, hope everything is good. Stay safe. And until next time, everyone, definitely take it easy.